Good evening, friends. Well, here we have an important addition to military literature, which is not thriving too much in India, the Battle of Rezang by Kulpreet Yadav. Now, I'll just say a few things about the book first. Military strength or war fighting capability, in my opinion, has three components. That is hardware, software and skinware. So, this book discusses the importance of skinware, how skinware, that is the human resource, who had obsolete hardware. They had 303 rifles of Second World War vintage. They didn't have clothing. So hardware refers to the weapons and the equipment, military equipment and other aspects. So they didn't have any hardware. Software is the system. There's a doctrine, strategy, tactics, and the system which supports that. That was non-existent at that time. At that point of time, they were clueless, There was no system in place. So they were totally clueless. There was some forward policy, there was something else. So in a very ad hoc manner things were going on. So suddenly they realized, like it happens, they woke up too late. And these 120 persons of the Charlie company of 13 Kumaon were overnight sort of sent there without any, like I said, with obsolete and antiquated hardware and absolutely no software, and even they didn't have digging tools, for example. And despite that, these 120 Bravehearts, they held about 5,000 well-equipped enemy soldiers, and they held them back to the last man, last bullet. Almost everybody, they sacrificed their lives. And the net effect of that was that in that particular sector, the enemy did not advance at all, whereas they did so in the other sectors. So that was the net effect. Unfortunately, this battle was forgotten because the enemy didn't come there. It was forgotten, and as is described in this book, much later their frozen bodies were found, and then from survivors, this tale has been resurrected. And I'm so glad he has done this. He has brought this book out on a forgotten battle, which is just covered in 1 or 2 pages in the various literature on 1962. You will find just 1 or 2 pages. There are volumes and chapters on the other debacles in Kameng sector and Walong and the other places. But this great battle which should have been highlighted is just then 1 or 2 pages. And he has gone at great lengths to write this book. So now I'll just I'll like to quote from here. He's written in the prologue of the thing that writing this book has been an emotionally exhausting experience for me. So I think we'll start from there.
Thank you very much, sir. It's such a pleasure to be in conversation with you. I really admire you, and it's great to be here. Thank you very much for coming for my session. I know very, very big celebrities are doing this session right now, but I'm indeed grateful that you've come here. So quickly, we just have 30 minutes, so I need to be very quick with answering your questions. It has been an emotional experience for me because I had been hearing this story of the sacrifice of these 120 Jawans from my childhood. Because I hail from the state of Haryana, and all these Jawans were from Haryana villages. And from childhood I used to see in villages of Haryana, their idols have been made. And the children all go and seek inspiration, people do puja more than the temple. And I used to get very motivated and very impressed seeing their idols in the villages. And at that time I was in Chandigarh doing my schooling, and in my school after coming back I used to ask other students, do you know in Rezang our soldiers fought so well and they stopped the Chinese? And almost 100% everybody used to say that what is Rezang, we've not heard. After that I came to Pune. I did my college from Nauroji Wadia College, Pune, and in college also nobody knew. Then I got into the academy. I became an officer. I became a Coast Guard commandant. And I was there in the Naval Officers Academy in Goa. There also nobody had heard, and in fact in my entire career I want to say that I have not come across any officer who knew anything about Rezangla. What did I do about it? Nothing. So I retired in 2014 and I did nothing about it, and I started writing books, and those books became popular. I came to a point where things were going good as far as writing books is concerned, and about 4 years ago one morning, and I'm not just making this up, one day early morning when I was in the bed, I somehow could visualize these people, and I said, look, these 120 Jawans are supporting each other without any, proper bullets, as sir said, proper equipment, proper clothing in minus 24 degrees, and they're trying to stop Chinese, and they're saying, last man, last bullet, we will fight, we will protect Ladakh. And nobody knows about them. And I said, I'm getting goosebumps even now. I don't know, for some reason, I became very emotionally involved with this story. And I thought, I must write this book. Now, those of you not from the services background, you might think that for me it may not have been very hard because I was an officer in uniform. But sir will agree, and other two senior officers here would agree that army is very different than navy or any other marine organization, or even for air force, for that matter air force. And army of 1962 was indeed different, right? So I started writing. I told my brother, who's a retired army officer, I said, I'm going to write this story. He said, किस लिए यार, क्या जरूरत है? भैया वही what has happened to you after retirement? आप उल्टी सीधी बातें कर रहे हो. I said, नहीं मेरे को सुबह ऐसा विजन आया, तो he called my mom and said कि भैया को कुछ हो गया. I said, नहीं मेरे को लिखनी है. And then after that, he also became a partner in it. Every single place that I've gone, my brother drove me himself. And then emotionally changed me, because there are 4 survivors that I met. One of them passed away after my meeting because they were in their late 80s and early 90s. And I've got those recordings of their memory of that war, the few survivors. And it is so moving. It is so moving. And I said, these heroes of India should not be heroes of the villages. These heroes of India should be heroes of the nation. And that is precisely the reason I wrote this. And it was really an emotionally exhausting. I think you can sense it even now when I'm speaking.
Thank you so much. Yeah. See,
that means
it's okay.
That means the program is successful.
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah. So if you read this book, and I must tell you, you must read this book. It's written from the heart, in simple language, straightforward, like a storytelling style. Unlike the various tomes on military history and war history, it's written from the heart, and it's an excellent book. Let me just read out what he has written, why he has written this book. The writing of this book has changed me, and the most important change is to value the freedom much more, as our countrymen have paid for it with their price. Sorry, with their life. Sorry, I'll put on my specs now. I better put on my specs. So anyway, you've got the gist of it. So that sentence encapsulates the reason why he's written this book. So can you talk about it more? This is why he's written it. What he told me yesterday, he wanted not only to make people aware of this, but inspire them. This is how those 120 soldiers, they sacrificed their lives. So we like to talk about it.
I wanted to actually write it in a simple language, because let's face it, English is a second language for most Indians, and 90% Indians don't understand English at all, which is all right. I wanted to write in such a simple English that anybody who understands a little bit of English should be able to make out what I'm saying. And I wanted to address it mostly to youth, because I think the young generation needs to know how much price people have paid, for our freedom. So it is not something that has come for free and we can enjoy and do whatever we want. We owe our lives and our freedom to these men. Very moving experiences happened with me. I just want to narrate one of them. I got a call from a senior IS officer from Jammu after this book came out. And he said, my name is so-and-so, I'm an IS officer, and Kulpreet sir, I read your book, I want to talk to you about something. I said, please go ahead. He said, my son is in 10th standard. He said, 2 years ago when he was in 8th, I traveled with him, with my son and my wife, and we went to Rezang. We pitched a tent on 18th November when the war was fought. He was a Sikh officer, and a Sikh IS officer, and he said, the temperature was minus 24 degrees because we wanted to, and we spent the night there. We wanted to experience what it is. And he said, now the book has come. He said, my son is always holding that book in his hand. And he's telling all the school students that you must read. So I think apart from me bringing out the story, this incredible power this story has to change the youth of India, I just became a vehicle for that. And that is also, I think, very empowering. And as a officer who's worn uniform, and as an Indian and as a citizen, it gives me great deal of satisfaction, I must say.
So now with my reading glasses on, what he just said, I'll just read out that the guy who's the soldier who's gone there to Rezangla, he's talking back to headquarters saying, we need to prepare the bunkers and trenches simultaneously. And the guy in the rear at the headquarters asking him, bunkers? Are there no bunkers ready in that area? So they didn't even know. They're sending troops up to huge heights, and there were no bunkers over there. So the troops had to prepare bunkers, they didn't have tools, he described everything there. And like I said, without any hardware and software. So this particular thing illustrates no hardware and no software also, and only is the skinware that has won this battle. So I'll really recommend this book. It's an excellent, simple storytelling style. That unity of command, he's just described the battle, and you can read it, and you'll really be, you'll get the gist of the whole thing. How the bravery and how skinware also matters in today's age. Like today you've got drones in hardware and all that. And you have seen recent conflicts also in Europe and all. It is the skinware that is holding on even now. It's holding on, you can see it. Things, battles and wars which seem to be very easy have not been so easy. So this has got a lesson for the future also, this particular book. Now I want to ask him, now it's very amusing that both of us are men from the sea. Both of us, I'm from the Navy, and we are here talking about a book about the army which he's written, Yeah, good. so this is very amusing, and I don't know whether it speaks volumes about the army also. I don't want to say that. But I just want to ask him, like he was in the Coast Guard, he had a very nice career going ahead, he had a distinguished career. He could have continued and risen to high rank. And suddenly he decided to pursue and follow his passion of writing. So I want to ask him, what was the defining, by the way, I could not do it. So that's why I admire him. One always admires people who do what you could not do and succeed in that. So that's why I admire him. I couldn't do it. I wish I would have done it, but I couldn't do it. I continued, play safe type of thing. So he had this, what was the defining moment or the Minerva moment in which he decided, okay, now I'm going to leave the Coast Guard, I'm going to become a writer.
Sir, I don't think I'll be able to truthfully answer this, let me admit. But what happens is, I had the privilege of being a Coast Guard officer. I was posted in Delhi. I had wonderful appointments. I had great time. But I think I had reached a stage where I had realized, let me say this, I had realized that, when you become senior in the service, it's more of the paper action that you have to do, You don't have to fire bullets, you don't have to fight a war, nothing like that. You become senior. And that sometimes get dull. It's like, you've been a cricketer and then would you like to become a coach or not? Most people would not. They would like to retire and go away. So I thought that paperwork, initially I liked it, but later on I realized it's too boring. And meanwhile, somehow, by accident, I had written a book which had done well. And I thought, let me do that. There was third reason as well. Third reason was my father, with whom I was very close, was a patient of Parkinsonism. And my organization would most probably keep me deep down in the south, and my father was in Delhi. And I wanted to spend more time with him. I did spend a lot of time with him. He passed away last year. So that's my answer to your question.
One thing about this book is if you see the bibliography, and is a tremendous amount of research that has gone into these books, which normally doesn't go even more than military history, because it's a forgotten thing. There are hardly any documents. The present literature, which is there, hardly mentions in one or two pages. So a tremendous amount of research he has done personally, which is quite evident. He's met people. There's some photographs over here. He's gone down to those villages, met people, and it's a tremendous amount of research which has just produced this book. So can you talk about that a bit?
Most certainly, sir. When I was writing this book, after the realization came and I decided to write this book, I was feeling this enormous responsibility on my shoulders, because I've taken this task, but I need to do it with justice. I can't do a shortcut. I cannot do it in a slipshod manner. Nobody is going to write a book on this war ever. because nobody's written a book on this war from 62 till now, and definitely nobody would. So it was that enormous responsibility which made me tread this path with care. I was very fortunate. When you do a good deed, I think all of you will agree with me, then बोलते हैं ना कि पूरा संसार आपके साथ चल पड़ता है. I went to 13 Kumaon. To my good luck, 13 Kumaon is currently in Kashmir. We can't disclose the location, but that time 13 Kumaon was in Delhi. I went and walked into the commanding officer's assistant's cabin, and I said, I want to meet. And he said, who are you? I said, I'm so and so. And Colonel Malik was the CO. I went in, he called me inside, he said, Sir, aap kaun ho? Maine bataya, I'm an officer, I want to do. And your unit, he said, I know we have a small museum also, we always move with that museum, which has got some of the photographs that I've used here. And I said, aapke paas jo hai mere ko batao. He gave me a lot of things. I said, no, I need more. Where is the war diary? So there's a document known as war diary, like it's a diary written with pen. You know, people, the officers, the Jawans write it. I said, where's the war diary? So he said, war diary to pata nahi kahan hai. I said, can you find it? So he made a board of one officer and few JCOs, and they found the war diary, and after a few days he gave me a call. He said, Kulpreet, war diary mil gayi hai. And that war diary was a leather bound, moth eaten, yellowed pages document of which I put the photograph also. And for me, it was such a great proof of someone who must have, who must be sitting down in the bunker or maybe in the administrative block bunker behind, and he's writing all those things down. And there's a hand-drawn map as well. So in addition to all the documents that I had collected, that became a significant resource material for me, research material. I met the survivors. There is a Ministry of Defense account of the 1962 war, which deals with this particular battle in about 8 pages or so. But the best and most authoritative document about this battle is Captain Amrinder Singh's book. Captain Amrinder Singh, the ex-Chief Minister of Punjab, is a great historian, military historian, probably the best in our country, in case you don't know. He's written some wonderful books, and I happened to read a book called as Lest We Forget, in which he's written about those wars which people have forgotten, including Rezangla. So there's a chapter which is like 25 pages. That became a good resource because he'd written it 30 years back, and he'd also gone and met many survivors and many other people, and since he was a royal family and he was, a retired captain, he had access to a lot of information from the thing. There were, of course, all the books that I mentioned here. I wanted to, just to kind of capture the whole thing, from 1947 till 1962, whatever has happened in India in terms of policy, strategy or defense, I wanted to lay my hands on. First thing I did was, after all this, I went to USI, United Services Institute. I took membership there in Delhi, near Rautolaram Marg, and that library has got some out-of-print books of 1962. Which I was able to access. They have a beautiful cafeteria there. I took membership. The only defense membership I have, I don't have a single club membership. I don't have any membership. The only membership that I have is of USI. And I went there and I started reading, and I had access to all those books which I have mentioned here. And that's about the research. Many other things, but I think that's what I would like to say.
I'll just give an example of the extensive research. There's a picture in the book, Soap Case, Jamadar Hariram. Now just imagine, he's gone to the village, found out the descendants, and even, so just see the amount of emotional connect that the families have. They've even retained his soap case, which was issued to him in Rezangla, and pictures of the survivors also. So this is really brilliant, the amount of research that has gone into this book. And we can only hope that books like these will not only make aware and inspire people of the forgotten battles, and also inspire others who have been in these battles and know about it, to write about it in such simple storytelling style. That's what I liked about this book. It's simple storytelling style. It can be made into a movie or an OTT or anywhere. It's very simple, and I'm sure it's very inspiring. So now if there are any questions, I think we'll throw it open.
Questions. Before that, I would like to say one more very important thing. What I've learned from this book, I've already mentioned, but I think what everyone can learn from this book is the fact that, as Sir said, skill is the most important thing. Man behind the machine is what matters, right? There are so many lessons you can get about resourcefulness, leadership, cooperation, change management, adaptability, because every turn is how are we going to manage? And they did manage at every step. 7 waves of the Chinese soldiers came. How each platoon stopped those waves individually will teach you lessons about life which you can actually apply, which I ended up doing in my life, and I think the quality of life will improve. In that sense, people think military, but military strategy and management tricks actually are very profound and life-changing, and that is why most of the defense officers, when they leave services and do something outside the defense circle, they end up becoming hugely successful. That is because of the management practices that we have learned. So I think this battle is also going to give management lessons to those youngsters who have come here.
Absolutely. If you read this book, you will find leadership initiatives at every stage and every level, right down to the sepoy. Every guy there has taken initiative and absolute original initiative with ingenuity in those circumstances. And as we know, all management has come from the military. There's a RAND corporation, all that. And now it's a very ironic situation that military officers are going and doing MBAs outside. So it's a reverse situation. So like he said, I mean, from this book, maybe even the so-called management students or the leadership who like to use military jargon, like marketing, fighting from the trenches and all that. They use all this military jargon in civilian management. There's plenty of it. Trenches and battles and all that stuff without firing a bullet in any case. So even those guys can learn a lot of lessons from here by reading this book. So I really recommend this book. I mean, not that I have read it or I am here, but I very strongly recommend this book. It can be read of people of all ages, from students, right up to the age of 80. Thank you.
Yeah. Are there any questions? Yeah, there are 1 or 2 questions. If you may take.
Yeah, we have got a couple of minutes.
Okay.
No, it's not really a question that I had, just a little comment. I have also grown up in military establishments, right? So I have huge respect for all our services. I mean, hats off, always, right? And when I heard you say that, of course, this battle, like you said, has a very personal connect with you. And so you were totally more invested in that sense. But I'm just thinking there's so many wars, so many battles, so many unsung, untold events that have happened through the years, right? And I'm just hoping that somebody like you in that space maybe will pick it up and tell a lot of these untold battles. So I definitely have bought a copy, so I'm going to be reading your book for sure. But then, this just sparked a thought in me that there's so many things that are untold.
Thank you very much, madam, for that comment. You are right. And very briefly to say that, see, all good actions start from home, right? So I wrote this book for personal reason is absolutely right. But that is not personal reason, that is personal motivation, right? And now I'm writing Battle of Hajipir, which is not personal. Battle of Hajipir happened in 1965. When I came to know about it, I started reading and I found that an equally incredible story, right? The best story of 65 war, but there is no book. Then there's something in 71. So I'm going to do my bit. In fact, any aspiring authors here, you don't have to be a military officer to write a military book, right? You can, if you're really passionate about it, you can. Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. My name is Sanjay Bhatt, and I've been following your sessions over the years whenever you've been conducting them during the PILF. My question was, I've read about, I had been, when you had launched the book, Murder in Paharganj. I loved that book very much. And further on, I've seen that you moved across genres, like you've written about ghost stories, you've written about wars and military stories. So how easy or how difficult it is for you to move across genres like this? I mean, it's pretty, a wide spectrum. So could you share some insight on that?
No, thank you very much. It's great to get that comment from you. I really don't know how to answer this except to say that your observation is spot on. इतना सारा काम एक साथ करोगे, बार बार बदलते रहोगे तो सब में फोकस निकल जाएगा. When my wife says that कि यार कुछ एक बार ढंग से एक ही बार चीज को करो. But see, I say that I'm free falling after leaving my service. So I'm trying to do whatever I can. I'm trying to do business also. I'm associated with a couple of startups. And last 1 year, I've turned a filmmaker. I've become an actor. I've done 7 projects in the last 6 months because people said you can do this. So as you know, I briefly could go to Nasruddin Shah sir's session, and he was also saying certain things which is similar. you just can't plan anything. I think whatever comes your way and you're passionate about it, if your heart says you do that, you should do that. So that is precisely what I'm trying to do. How hard it is hard, and my horror books have done pretty badly. I wrote a romance book, the only romance book that I wrote, which is surprisingly done very well. So you get those kind of results. So I don't know whether I'll write horror more or not. Someone called me yesterday and said, Kulpreet, comedy bach gaya, wo bhi kar le.
Well, I'll just interrupt. He's a very versatile guy. First, he was a seafarer, in the military. Then he became a writer, and I was going to become an actor. So soon you will find him down there in hall number 1, auditorium, and all of us will be there, Hopefully, all the best as an actor.
Thank you, sir.
And don't forget us when you become a celebrity,
Oh, sir. Thank you.